Redditors who do not have a romantic how we first met story with your significant other. How did you meet? She first met me while dating my best friend and I was with another girl at the time. Years later, my best friend convinced me to hang out with her. Called her up and invited her to Buffalo Wild Wings where he and I were hanging out. Since we had both already eaten, we walked across the parking lot to a bar. I played darts with friends while drinking and talking to her a bit. Then after the bar closed, we went back to our cars. Started making out. Decided there wasn't enough room inside. And FK'd with her bent over the hood of my car in Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot at 4 AM. It was a magical night we'll tell our grandchildren about one day. Not me but an old friend. Back in the 70s. My friend Shirley was at a bar late one night making a phone call in the back room on a payphone. And some drunk arsehole came stumbling in and took the phone from her. Hung it up. Then proceeded to make a call to someone else. She stood back and smacked him in the face. He fell flat on the floor and busted out laughing. That's how they met. A short bar fight I suppose lol. I always loved hearing that story when I drank with them. She passed away a few years back and was a very sweet woman. My wife and I met on OkCupid. I used to feel kind of embarrassed about this until I realized that now there are married couples out there who met on Tinder. Who knows, in a few more years Tinder will probably seem old fashioned. And all the young people will be meeting up on Find a Set of Genitals. He was drunk. An acquaintance and I went to pick him and another friend up to go out to a club. We've been together almost 15 and 1/2 years married 13. Even his proposal was not very romantic. We were in our backyard getting ready to barbecue and he asked me if I would marry him. First thing out of my mouth was "Are you sure?" Double quote. It totally works for us though. Added my wife on Facebook 11 years ago because I thought she was hot. She popped up in a friend's pictures and I was like damn. Nice, and now I wake up in the same bed as her and I say damn. Nice every single day. Damn. Nice. Met my GF at a New Year's Eve party. We were both super drunk. I may have blurted out my life story too. I came back with her to her apartment. After sobering up, I decided to get naked and crawl into her bathtub. I passed out, but woke up with a blanket on me and a pillow under my head. She sent me a message asking if I was okay. I asked her out for coffee. The rest is history, I guess. My husband and I met in after school math tutoring. I look up and see this nerd staring at me, so I make a silly face like double chin and he starts laughing. Fast forward. We end up in the same math class next year BC. We both failed math. We ended up in the same slow kids classes too. He always gave me gum in class. One day I wore a tank top and he pranked me by saying, "Hey, I bet your elbows can't touch," and I did it and felt like a complete goof. We started to hang out more later in the year. We went to prom, started dating, blah, got married. Currently pregnant with baby 1. Personally I don't think it's romantic, I think it was all kinda goofy lol. My boyfriend added me on Snapchat because the guy I had a talking stage with was giving my username out. Turns out he was liar and was talking to 4 other girls besides me. Him being annoyed about me caused him to hand my name out to anyone who wanted it. My boyfriend, before we even began to be friends, stood up for me when the other guy called me names. Since my boyfriend didn't have any friends, he added me and it was quite funny, to be honest. I love that guy. It's been 1.5 years so far. I haven't grown up, but I've taught him many things and he's a good man. I wouldn't trade him for the world. He's my bestie. One afternoon I was in my apartment and was packing for a Magic the Gathering tournament when I got a text that said, "Hey, are you going to Minneapolis?" from a friend. I told them I was going to Milwaukee, not Minneapolis, and I didn't recognize the number, but I just moved and got a new number, so I didn't wanna do the new phone who dis, but so I acted like I knew who it was. Turns out it wasn't a friend and it was a stranger, and she didn't know how to tell me she typed the wrong number, so we kept talking. We ended up dating for 4 years. Walmart. I was the cashier, she was the customer. We struck up a conversation at the register about paint because that's what she was buying. Anyways, she left her number with a cart push and I called her later that night. These was only one catch though. I was 17 and she was 27. I had less than a month to turn 18 when we got together. Now I'm 21 and she's 31. We are married. I have a great job and we both go to school now. I met my wife working at Walmart as a department manager in my early 20s. She just got hired as a cashier. Nothing super romantic about that. She was definitely the hottest woman at the store, so all the employees were talking. I didn't even really had the courage to ask her out. I slid her my number on the receipt after I purchased something at her cash register. Asked if she would like to go out. This was only after a friend of hers confirmed she was into me. Thank God she said yes. I was sweating bullets. The rest was history. This was in the late 90s. We were both in our early 20s and each got a job working for a library system. We'd each drive around to different libraries and set up their computer systems and help the community with questions on how to use computers and stuff. And each write articles for the local newspaper on how to use this newfangled thing called the internet. First time we met was at a training session for library staff. I showed up late. I used to be a really shitty employee. I remember walking into the training room set up with a bunch of computers. My lovely now wife turned to look up at me and scowled as though I was the scum of the earth. She was kind of hunched over a computer, and I vividly remember her look of pure loathing. I don't even remember how we met. I just know he went to middle school and high school with my friends, so they always mentioned him on their stories. Then one day, they got together and asked him if they could invite me. He agreed. We went to see a movie. But as I didn't know him, I didn't even speak to him and he didn't speak to me. We're both socially awkward. 3 months later, we started texting 24/7. I don't even know who started the conversation. And then a few months later, somehow we started dating. We didn't even know when it happened. So we picked a random date around the time it happened. Now look at us. A year after that movie night out. Half a year of relationship later. Signed up for a niche dating site when I was on the rebound and felt that I'd tapped out my uni dating pool. Met a few guys. Went on a few dates. Had a short-term relationship. And had just about forgotten about it a couple of years later when I got a message from a guy. He had been signed up to the site as part of a prank war with a friend. But since the friend had for some reason given him a paid account, and he was painfully single, he felt it warranted a look. The slightly romantic part is that he saw my profile and thought that girl looks too perfect a match for me to be real. She must be part of the prank, but decided to push the prank as far as it would go and message me. A decade later, still going strong. He met the guy from the prank war again about a year ago and got the chance to say thanks. I don't think most are that romantic. This isn't a rom-com. I was working at below what is now Food City and he said he saw me from behind first. He liked my ass. He said I turned around and he thought good, she is not just a butterface or something along those lines. Later on we were the last two cashiers close to closing and we chatted it up. I actually told him I liked his friend. He got my number. His friend ended up not liking me. He did. I kinda slutted it up a bit and invited him over that first night or the next night, I can't remember, and we fooled around. Then we pretty much were a couple after that. Now we are married and it's been 19 years of being together. 15 of being married and we have 2 kids. We are still best friends with the friend I told him I had a crush on that was not into me. Turned out he was into me but was not ready to get into a relationship at the time. I am best friends with his now wife too and was there when their first child was born in the war. Life is funny sometimes. I was on a shitty group date with some woman from OkCupid that just wanted a person to pay for her drinks for the evening. My wife was stood up for a date. We ended up at the same bar. I sang a Smiths song for karaoke. She said, "Who's the arsehole singing the Smiths at karaoke?" Saw that arsehole was me and approached me. With reckless abandon I bluntly suggested we make out behind the bar. So we did. Went home with her. And going on 6 years later we are married with a house and a dog. At my sister's college graduation party, this cute girl spilled what was left of my drink. She cleaned it up with a paper towel while I got a wet paper towel to wipe the floor so it wouldn't be sticky. She says, you know how to clean. I should keep you around. 22 years later I'm still cleaning up after her and she is still keeping me around. The rest of the story. 3 months later we were pregnant. Married with a kid before we knew each other a year. Our daughter is in her 3rd year attending college where my wife and I first met. We were at a party organized for geology students from different universities to meet. He, a 4th year student at our uni, didn't have much cash with him and jokingly exclaimed that damn, I can't buy more beer now. As I, a 2nd year student, heard him say that, I happened to want to get rid of a bunch of small coins I didn't want to carry around and told him he could have those €3 as I had my own drinks. He was very thankful, although he wasn't serious with being upset about not being able to drink more at all, and introduced himself. The next night he paid me back although I had told him he doesn't have to. We didn't talk at our coffee room for weeks after that, but somehow I got a huge crush on him a month after the party. Then I told him after another month of us subtly flirting with each other. Now we've been together for almost a year. My brother, some friends, and I were at a bar. One of my brother's friends, Justin, called to find out where we were. I had never met him before. My brother handed the phone to me so I could give directions. While on the phone Justin told me how sexy my voice was and he was excited to meet me. It was a total turn off. When he arrived he ignored me until he got drunk. At the end of the night he asked me to go home with him. I did not. We didn't see each other again until about 2 years later. In that time he grew up a lot. He asked me out on a real date. I said yes. Our wedding anniversary was last month.